All right, friends, we're going to be getting into a little bit of digital art now using this program called Pixlr, Pixlr. And there are actually two different versions of this program, and the one that we're going to be focusing on is Pixlr E. This is actually the more complex version of the program, but it also has some settings that we need to adjust in it as well. So when you come to the website, click on Pixlr E. You're going to see a bunch of my current projects popping up right here. Yours will probably be blank, or we'll have placeholders right now, but what I'd like you to do for this first creation is to click Create New. Okay, we've got a couple of different options here. You can change the size, you can change whether there's a background, you can give it a name right now, but for this first one, we're just going to hit Create. We're not going to change anything. And then that brings us into the editor. Okay. And we're only going to be using a couple things here. Don't get intimidated by all this other stuff that's showing up. But the first thing we're going to play around with is the draw tool. Now, it might be counterintuitive that the draw tool is a paintbrush, but it is what it is. When you click on that, it will allow you to click and drag to draw things on the artboard here that's in front of us. Okay? You'll notice that mine started off as red. If you look around, you can probably find that red is showing up right here. And if I click on that, I can change the color to blue. No problem. Click and drag, and now that's what's showing up. All right, a couple of the other options. Whenever you choose a tool, the options for it show up at the top. First is the brush. When you click on that, you can change the size of the brush, make it larger. As you can see here, you can also change the softness of the brush, which basically is how fuzzy the outer edge is. And that's kind of tough to see. Let me change my color to white. And you can see how fuzzy the edge of that is. If we change that and turn it all the way down, you can see we'll get a nice sharp edge on the edge of our painting line right here. Instead of that fuzz. You can see the little dots in there. That's actually the last adjustment here, the step. So if we want it to be smoother, we want to turn that step down. And we won't get any of those bumpy edges like we have on here, or these dots like on that one. Okay. Opacity is one last thing that we can change. Opacity is the opposite of transparency. So if we turn that down, our mark will actually be see-through. So if I paint now, you'll be able to see my white lines and some of my blue lines and my red lines through there. Okay? That's with my opacity at about 50%. All right, if I unclick and click again, you can see my green gets a little more opaque or a little less see-through. And I can keep doing that until it gets completely opaque if that's something that I wanted to do. All right, but this is just the very, very basic stuff for the draw tool. You might use this for editing some pictures, which I'm going to show you how to do now. All right. In order to add a picture to this, maybe something you've taken or something you found off the internet, we're going to click on the plus button over here in the layers menu. We're going to talk about that a little more in a second. You click on that, you have a bunch of options. We're going to do image, and I'm going to find a picture that I downloaded onto my computer. Let's grab Mr. T-Rex. He loads up, and there he is. All right. Once you have something on your screen like this, we are now automatically put to the Arrange tool so that we can click and move it around. Something that I need you absolutely to do is to go up to the tool settings right here, and this only shows up when you have something on your screen and you have the Arrange tool selected. And we want to turn off Auto Select Layer. Trust me, this is going to make your life easier, happier. Turn that off. All right, but you can see we've got our picture now. We've got these little boxes on the side. We can resize it if we want. We can move it around if we want. And you can see our picture is on top of our drawing in the background, but we can actually change that by just changing the order of our layers. We've got layer 1 here, and we've got this one named something funky. That was the name of this picture. You can easily click and drag these to rearrange them, and now you can see my drawing is on top of my T-Rex. Be a pretty interesting way to change his color to green, right? By just painting over the top of it. But the cool thing about this is, let's get T-Rex back on top, is that you only affect the layer that you have selected. You see it's bluish here. If we decide to erase, which is right over here, kitty corner to the draw tool, we decide we want to erase this white background here, we can click and drag and erase that, and it's not erasing our drawing in the background. It's only erasing the stuff that's on this layer. I can do the same thing. If I swap to layer 1, I can erase the green there, but if I come onto the T-Rex, it's not actually erasing any of the T-Rex because it's only doing what's on that layer. If I move it over, you can see all the stuff I erased while it was behind there. Okay? Layers are fantastic ways to preserve your work so you don't have to worry about making a mistake on something you already got perfect. So if you are ever feeling like I don't want to do anymore because I'm worried about messing up, just create a new layer, put something on top of it, and you can adjust it without worrying about messing things up in the background. Okay? Last thing, with these pictures that we're bringing in, we want to make adjustments to these. Okay? And there's a couple ways that you can do that. Up here at the top are the literal adjustments, and you can change a couple things. Let's focus on the brightness and contrast. All right, we can make our picture lighter or darker, and we can bump up the contrast, which is how dark the darks are and how light the lights are. You can see as I go up, all these highlights get as white as the background, and all the shadows turn to complete black. Or we can turn that down, and it starts to get grayer and grayer and grayer. Okay? Or we can do the hue saturation. Hue stands for color, and saturation is how intense the color is. So I can change this hue slider bar, and our T-Rex will change colors. All right, I can change the saturation level and make the color super neon bright, or I can turn it down and dull them a bit more to the point where the whole picture doesn't have any color in it at all. All right, you also have the lightness adjustment here too, which is kind of nice. Okay, but those are very specific adjustments. If you want to do something funky with your picture, right next to adjustments is filter. If you click on that and go to the effects library, this is something similar to some applications you might have on your phone. You can make adjustments this way. If I click on artsy right here, you can see there's a lot of very intense things. We can do a Bloomberg, which is like a reverse of the color. We can pixelate it. We can do night vision. All right, there's lots of interesting stuff you can do with this. So for this first assignment, I would like you to, number 1, make sure this setting goes from on to off. Turn off auto select layer. Number 2, I'd like you to draw something with the draw tool. Play around with the different brush settings. And number 3, I would like you to bring in a picture and make some kind of adjustment to it, whether you change the color with hue saturation or use the filter to change it in a more dramatic way. That's great. But I want to see some drawing and a picture that has been changed for this assignment. Okay? Good luck. I hope you enjoyed doing some of this, and I'll see you next time.